Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I am bringing you my set 2 take on U7 Goku. I will admit I think I was a bit harsh in the tier list with it. I do think it's going to be a solid deck. I think in terms of aggro, I still think Topku's just going to be stronger. But I will say this though, when I did sort of theory craft this deck, I did think that the new 1-drop Frieza lends a huge power spike to the deck for sure. Plus, with the additional TOP cards, the deck is still really strong for sure. So I wouldn't. I still don't know where I would adjust it on the tier list. Maybe I would put it in could win events. But I honestly don't know. I think it's a good deck. I still don't think it's as strong as Topku for sure. I think Topku is definitely going to be the boogeyman of the set. I think it's going to be essentially Broly of this set or set 1. So I think that we do have to keep that in mind, and I think that while U7 can lend a bit more aggressively, I'm not sure how it fares up against Topku. It could have a great match for all I know, I haven't really tested it. But before we start the deck profile, I do have the client open because I do want to bring your attention to a notice that I logged into this morning to see, which is very good, by the way. I'm really excited about this. So, there is a level system adjustment. These are all very positive, so I'll read through it with you just to sort of give you an idea. So, we earn XP by playing in matches such as rank and level up by reaching a certain amount of XP. That's all standard. You can check your gauge to see your current XP. Again, none of that is different. What the adjustments are is that the levels will be reset to 1 from the start of the next season of Ranked, which I believe is on the 23rd of May. Users can obtain in-game items depending on the level reached. Now that is what I'm most excited about. We now have something to grind for when it comes to your level. Before, literally, you were just grinding rank points. There was nothing else to really gain off of that. I mean, again, I suppose by the end of the season, you're kind of grinding towards your gems and your titles and stuff like that. But the fact that we can now get in-game items, which I'm hoping is either going to be gems or I'm still holding out because they haven't announced it. But this is version 2, so I'm hoping that there's going to be some form of maybe an adjustment to the crafting system as well. Maybe I'm hoping a bit too much for that because I mean they have just done an update here, so I don't know why you wouldn't just announce all of it at the one time. But again, it could just be a slow burn. You know, they're maybe trying to eke out their updates sort of as it comes up until the 23rd of May, I suppose, maybe. But there is a limit on levels, so you cannot go above 100, and then the amount of XP needed to reach certain levels will be adjusted. So that looks like it's going to be cumulative, which means that essentially, you know, from 1 to 10 you might need, let's say, 10,000 XP for argument's sake, but then from 10 to 20 you might need 30,000 XP, as in, you know, going from 10 to 30. So it might be a case of that it scales that way. Hopefully they do it right. I don't want to see a grind where, you know, once you hit sort of level 15, it's going to feel like World of Warcraft in that sense, where, you know, if anybody's played the generic stuff, you know, it takes ages to rank up after that point. And I really don't, I hope that they keep it sort of standard. I really don't want it to be a case of it is an absolute grind to get to, like, you know, 30s, 40s, 50s. That's just going to be really unenjoyable. But I'm very excited because hopefully that means that we're going to get additional gems, which means that the free-to-play players will have a significant boost. So this is very good. This is very positive. And again, if they introduce something towards the crafting element, they might even introduce, you know, wild cards. You know, every 10 levels you get an SR wild card or something like that, which would be really good, and it would be very strong again for those free-to-play players. So I'm really excited about this. And then changes to the display related to the above features, as well as some UI adjustments will also take place. So again, I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know if it's just going to be a case of that they change the actual profile UI. You know, like this bit here, maybe this gets a bit of a workover. Again, it doesn't really matter. So, but yeah, what I'll do is I'll jump into Deck Planet now. So this is, oh, yeah, well, you've seen it, but we'll do the creator view anyway. That was my mistake. I should have hid that. But what I'm going to do is we're going to go through each card and we're going to go over the decisions for where we've come with this. There will likely be a lot of people who don't like my build. I haven't gone the full aggro build, which I think if you do go the full aggro, you definitely can outpace Topku. For me, I'm just not sure about how I feel about that, because you're leaving yourself defensively very vulnerable, meaning you're not having a lot of combo power behind you, which is kind of something I don't particularly like. But we'll go through it. So we run 4 Basils. It's just the best searcher now for red. We have a lot of Tournament of Power cards in this deck, so there's no reason not to run this. 4 of the Self-Awakened Roshis, because as everybody who's played U7 knows, or just any red leader per se, but you want to get to your Awaken as quickly as possible for that extra buff, so there's no reason not to run this still. We run 3 Piccolos. Again, it's a Tournament of Power, meaning it is searchable from Basil, so there's no reason to run the Roshi over this. Honestly, it's just the same card. We run 4 of these Freezers. This card is the one I was telling you about that I think is a significant buff to this leader. So it's permanent on your turn is that if your leader's awakened, it gains plus 5k power, right? So with our leader skill, this is a 1 cost 25k. That stat line is ridiculous. That's so strong, right? For 1 energy, we're swinging into Broly's. And it doesn't cost us cards from hand. Like, this is really, really, really good. This is... I would argue that if this card existed in set 1, U7 Goku would be destroying the meta, honestly. This card is so strong. It's not really much else to say. And again, it's a Tournament of Power, meaning it is searchable with Basil. So I run 3 TNs. Now, this is probably where some people might disagree on my list. I don't run the 3 cost TN. It is U7 Goku is the only leader that 3 cost TN is viable in. And the reason being is that we can either tap 3 or we can play it off of the skill from Kefla, and then the TN will play up to 3 of these. My only issue with that is that if we get the best case scenario, right, we play Kefla, we draw a card, she attacks, we then play the 3 cost TN, which then plays this. Now, in the best case scenario, we are dropping 4 from hand. Yes, we're gaining 4 attackers out of it, but I don't know if the pressure is worth it. So this is where my testing is going to come in. I'm definitely going to try the deck with the new TN for sure. Best case scenario, you're likely not hitting like 3 TNs plus the 3 costs. So, you know, you might end up playing 1 or 2 at most. So it might be completely viable for sure. My only issue is that I believe the 3-drop TN is a 5k combo. It's not that we run a lot of 5ks, it's just red in set 1 ran arguably the most 10ks of any colour. And I don't want to give that up, personally. I think that we still need a lot of 10ks. There are a lot of 25k bodies now in this game, especially from set 2. So 10k is just your best combo number. And I think that we need 10ks as much as possible. So for the purposes of deck space, I didn't include the 3-drop TN, but it's definitely a build that I will test. So keep that in mind. This is just a version 1 build. And then we run 4 hits for obvious reasons. It's just our best 2-drop Self-Awakener. We also run 4 Krillins for the same reason. It is a 25k attacker on our turn with our leader. 10k combo, rips alive. There's no reason not to play this card in this leader. I do run 2 Roses. This is an interesting one. I'm not sure if this will get cut. This one might get cut, honestly. I do like Rosie. I'm just not sure how I feel about it in U7. Yeah, if we can, even if our opponent has 2 battle cards and we play Rosie and we can swing for 25, it's still worth it. She doesn't get the buff of her leader, obviously, because she's not U7. So this is definitely cuttable, but she is a 10k combo, so for now I'm going to test it and see how we get on. But yeah, this one is definitely, out of everything I have in this list, this one might get cut, for sure. This could actually get cut for the TN, and we'll see what happens at that point. We run 4 of the Gohan Adolescents. It's a 30k attacker once you're awakened. It's the exact same as the Goku, apart from this minus his 15k power, which to me is still more valuable than the 20k KO. Don't get me wrong, I know I've kind of been batting down Goku a lot because there's a lot of KO protection. It's still a snapped card for sure, but Gohan just offers you the 30k the same. It just defensively is a bit harder to defend, especially because your leader only buffs you on your turn. But still, the minus is a bit more important to me. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. This could get changed, the ratios, but again, it is 5k combo, meaning that I don't really feel like I'm losing anything by putting this in. And then we've still run 2 Gokus for the same reason. It's a 30k attacker, it self-awakens, and we can kill something 20k or less. So in the turn we look to play this, there is argument to run this at 3 and just do a 4-3 split. Or even a 3-3 split. It's just with him being a 0k, that's kind of what turns me off it a little bit. But we'll see. Again, testing will show us whether or not we're right. This is the other reasons, because we run Android 17, which is another 0k. But Android 17, for the same reason, he is a 30k attacker with our leader. He buffs our leader up to 25k, both offensively and defensively, which is the only reason why running TN is feasible, because our leader has the potential to be 25k, which means that the 5k combo power isn't going to upset me all that much at that point. But yeah, he's still a ridiculous card, this 17. You know, if your leader's awakened, this card can't be KO'd by skills. Like, ridiculous card. Very, very strong. Again, that doesn't apply to minus or from cards like blue, for example. If they bounce your cards back to hand, it doesn't affect Android, or Android 17's effect, sorry, doesn't apply to that. So there are definitely still ways to remove this, so it's a very situational card, bear that in mind. If you do play this, if you're playing it into the blue match or the red match, I would honestly only assume that this is going to stick around the turn it's played. Yeah, I think it's an iffy one, honestly. But I think in this leader, for sure, he's definitely an attack target. You know, we swing for 30k. I think I don't know how I personally feel about Broly in the next set. I still think it's strong. I just don't think it's going to be as prevalent, because the aggro got such a buff this set, and green loses very hard to aggro. So this card might still be very, very strong going into the next set with this leader in particular, because it will be a 30k attacker, meaning that we can just attack him and we can just sit back and try and defend the card. You never know, but for sure it's a great card. And then we run 4 Keflas, of course. It's just the best card in Reds right now, honestly. 25k attacker from its own effect. It does not get the buff from our leader, of course. And on play we draw a card and then play 1 battle card with a cost of 3 or less, which means either this or this. It has to have TOP and its special traits, meaning that we can't play this. So we can play the 3-drop TN from Kefla, and then the 3-drop TN would also play the 1-drop TN. So again, if 20k leaders seem to be the meta, the TN route might be the best way. Again, I'm just saying that this is a version 1 list. If people are disagreeing with me not running TN, by all means, go ahead. It's something that I will definitely test. But Kefla with Android 17 and Kefla with Gohan is ridiculously strong. I mean, we're swinging for 25 and 30k, and then if we have the Android 17, you know, it's 25, 30, and 25 off our leader. Like, these are ridiculous stat lines. So, very, very good. And then I run 2 Gohan Adolescents. This promo is very, very strong. My only concern with this promo is that its power buff is only on your turn. So I don't know if I ever want to realistically tap 4 for this card. We can do, with 4 energy, we can do so much more. The only time I'm playing this for 4 energy is if my opponent's on 1 life. That's the only time. Because our leader makes it a 45k because it is a U7. So with the 20k buff, it gains plus the 5 from the leader, and then we just dump hands. You know, we've got a really, really strong game ender here, but beyond my opponent being on 1 life, I don't know how likely I am to play this card, because the turn it's played, if I can't kill my opponent, I'm likely not going to win the match. Sorry, not win the match. I'm not likely going to see this for another turn, and it's very difficult to defend being a 20k. I don't know how I feel about it, honestly. So this is another one that could get cut, but I just like it as a game ender for sure. It's kind of the same reason why Rosie's in here. I like Rosie as a game ender if our opponent has gone wide. And I'm building most of my decks in mind of Topku, because, like I said, I do think Topku will be the boogeyman next set. And I genuinely think that our opponent going wide plays into our favour to an extent with Rosie. So there are reasons why this is here. You know, our opponent can play 2 or 3 battle cards a turn at least. So, you know, our Rosie can be 30k base. Gohan's for the same reason. If our opponent's on 1 life, these are just great game enders. Then we still run 3 of the Double Strike Gokus. This is the only reason why I'm a bit iffy on upping this number, because between this we have, what, 6 is it? No, 8, sorry. We have 8 0k combos. That's a lot. I'm not happy with that number personally, but he's still a great game ender. You know, a 40k double strike with this leader. Like, you can't turn that down. It's so good. And I think running 3 Android 17s is a minimum. You need that. And I think 2 Gokus is a stretch, but again, I think it's very viable with this leader. And then 4 Shin Supers. It's just U7, it doesn't really matter. Honestly, you can pick whatever super combo you want. If you're not running the extra card, just run whatever super you want. It really doesn't matter. You're never tapping 7 to play this card as an attacker, so unless you're memeing. But yeah, this is the current list. Like I said, there are definite ways that I would test this, but I like the aggressiveness of this list. a 25k one drop and a 20k one drop, like just being able to spam the board with attackers and really high power attackers as well is very, very good. Yeah, I like this list. I just know that there are tweaks that are going to be needed, and like I said, I think between our 10Ks, what do we run here? So we run 4, 7, 11, 13. We run 17 10Ks. It's a good number. It's definitely a good number of 10Ks, but for the most part, we've got a lot of 5k combo power here, like a lot of 5k combo, which means that the Android 17 is going to be very, very needed because we need that power buff on our leader. And again, if our opponent's swinging 25s, we can just dump a 5k. Yeah, I think there are a lot of 5ks. I think that's the only issue I see with Red going forward is that yes, while it got massive power boosts, besides the Kefla, most of it was 5k power. In terms of combo power, I know that there's like the 4-drop Rebrian, which is very good in the top Q leader, but not particularly great for this leader. That's a 10k. The Rumshi's also a 10k. There are definite cards that have 10k power, but the reason why they're 10k is because their effects are slightly weaker. So again, it's just purely based on your preference and how you want to play the deck. But I think that this is a really strong list for sure. I'm excited to test this list. And yeah, so I just wanted to sort of share with you. I know I didn't like crucify it. I think as far as the red leaders went, I thought it was the weakest, but I might have changed my mind on this now. Beerus for me is one that since I've been, since I've done the deck profiles from the beginning, I've been theory crafting a lot. And while I think that Beerus is very, very good, I just think that its control element might hold it back slightly. Whereas I think that U7 and Top Q and even Starter Q is just about beating our opponent into submission, whereas Beerus is a very slow burn kind of game. Yeah, I honestly I don't know how I feel about Beerus now because of Top Q. So I would definitely maybe potentially place this above Beerus in the tier list. Again, I haven't done any testing. The tier list, like I said on that video yesterday, it's purely just based on my opinion. It's from a very top level, no testing done, just me watching some matches online. That's pretty much it. Plus me just digging into the quality of the cards itself. But so yeah, I think the U7 is definitely a strong deck, and this card here, this Frieza's snapped. Such a snapped card for this leader. And I'm looking forward to testing it because I do love this leader. Like U7 Goku was like the first deck I properly took to locals. And yeah, it's definitely one I'm excited to try going into the next set. But guys, I appreciate you watching all these videos. Appreciate all the comments as well, all the feedback on the deck profiles. It's been really helpful because I have missed some things. So again, likewise with this video, if I have missed anything, hit me up in the comments. Let me know what your builds are, if there's anything you've changed or if there's anything you've added in. I'm mostly interested in hearing if people are running that 3-cost TN for sure. But we'll see. Again, it is definitely a testing ground, so this will be a good starting point, and then maybe once we've tried this for a couple of 2, 3, 4 matches, once we get a feel for the deck, we'll maybe put the TN in and see how I feel with it, with the adjustments at that point. And if it feels better, definitely it's going to stay in the deck. But guys, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please give a like and a subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.